What causes our suffering? Why do we suffer? Is it our thoughts? Most certainly, thoughts can cause a lot of suffering. Our inability to accept what is, that causes a lot of suffering. Not being able to control things. We're fighting the flow of life when we try to control things or when we can't accept things. That's a trap I catch myself in quite often. Quite often. You get worked up about something, and when you step back far enough into the center of the circle, when you regain a little bit of balance, which is vital on the path of purification and awakening, on the spiritual path, it's vital that we maintain balance, because there's a lot to take in. When you awaken very fast, that happened to me. My consciousness raised too fast. Honestly, it was too fast, right? And it's a lot to take in. It's hard to deal with. I'm still dealing with it. When you learn some high truths about how this world operates, and how almost 100% of what's going on is against that, is a machine to suppress our consciousness, it's a lot to take in. So it's important we find balance. If we're getting pushed off edge, if we're going down rabbit holes, we need to take a break and find balance, right? That causes suffering, being out of balance. Right? A lot of things cause suffering. Not being able to accept someone for who they are and where they are. Right? Trying to push our consciousness on others, that's another trap I fall into all the time. We can't push our consciousness onto people who aren't ready for it. I can't remember who said it, but someone said, like, trying to teach someone who is ready is a sin, or something like that, right? Is bad karma. Trying to teach someone who's not ready is bad karma. Boy, I've gotten a lot of bad karma, I'll tell you that, from that. Trying to change people at different levels of consciousness. It's hard not to, because you want to help ease other people's suffering, but at the same time, we got to work on our own suffering. A lot of us are caught in thought, endless thought, not being able to accept people exactly how they are. If we get triggered or worked up emotionally or frustrated with someone else, that's us not being able to accept them. And there's nothing we can do about it. There's no control. You can't control how someone else is going to be. You could try. We could try with our kids, right? We think we're trying to. I mean, obviously you're going to keep doing your best. That's baseline, right? Yeah, you're doing what you know is to be the truth and the best for your children, but we also got to accept that they're going to turn out how they're going to turn out, based on where they came from. You know what I mean? Do your best. Everything's going to happen perfectly anyway. You can't make a wrong choice. You can't make a wrong choice. You're going to do exactly what you're going to do when you're going to do it. It was always going to be like that. You're just living out your karma and your story. We're just acting in this game. This is the crazy thing. If you think about it like this, you become so much more relaxed about things. It's like, no matter what happens, you're like, that was always going to happen. There's nothing I was going to do about it anyway. I was never going to change that scenario. Never going to change that scenario. So there's no point in thinking about it. I was never going to change it, because that's exactly how it was meant to be. If it happens, it's meant to be. If it doesn't happen, it wasn't meant to be. So don't get hung up on it. Don't think you miss an opportunity. There's no such thing. Because it wasn't meant to be, because it didn't happen, right? Everything happens in divine timing. Everything. That's why we got to step back into the center of the circle, as the Tao says. So important to stay in the center of the circle. So we are merely the observer, and we don't have these biases and opinions hanging us up. It's so important to have that balance. Get in the center of the circle, right? We got to see. We got to realize there is no good or bad. There's nothing that is good. This is good. I got a new car. It's good. I sprained my ankle. It's bad. No. Neither of those are good or bad. They just are. We have to observe those. That's how we get in control of our emotions. Hey, listen. I'm talking to myself. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to myself, because we are one, right? So we're talking to each other. Perfect. You know what I mean? This is hard. I go through this all the time. Trying to get myself in balance. Getting out of balance easy. Trying to accept things exactly how they are, because we are programmed to want to control things and to thinking we can. That's a part of our program. This programming on this planet is so intense, it blows my mind. That's a hard one to take in. once you keep expanding your consciousness, going down the road of spirituality, learning the true diet of the human species, and what happens when an entire planet eats the wrong diet and then is poisoned on top of it and told it's healthcare. And then realizing what almost 100% of people are still doing, and having to observe that everywhere you go, and not being able to do anything about it. Because you trying to intervene is dealing with someone else's level of consciousness. You can't change them. You can't change them. How many people I've told about the true diet of the human being, about fruit and vegetables, and doing it myself, eating all fruit. I feel that fruit energy pulsing through me right now. I'm on 100% fruit. Man, it's pretty obvious when you start doing it, and when you actually detox enough. That just from experience, I'll tell you from experience. I've eaten all fruit 131 days over the summer. It was my longest streak. But I'm trying to get away from labels and streaks. None of that matters. I'm just trying to eat all fruit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing it. None of that matters. You got to forget about all that. Those are hang-ups. Hang-ups, keeping track of the exact days. I mean, you could not that you can't do it, because it's a good reference for other people to see, give them a length of time. But really, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Don't let that be a foundation of you're trying to, you're giving yourself a label. You're putting yourself in a box. If you say you're anything, really. If you say you're a raw foodist or a fruitarian, you know what I mean? You just don't worry about it. We know what to do. We know the fruit is the highest electric hydrating, alkalizing, anti-inflammatory, antispasmodic. You get your amino acids from fruit, which are what actually are used to build muscles, and you don't need protein. It's wild. It's a lot. It's hard to stay balanced when you start understanding what's going on, man. And the level of programming. When you're out of the program, when you're out of the Matrix the Matrix is ahead of its time, man. The Matrix is wild. It's a wild movie. There's a lot going on there. Those people are deep in consciousness, I think. I really don't know if they're positive or negative. There is none. It's not good or bad. And then it gives you new perspective on what's going on all angles of the world too. Obviously you can say, just to relate to this plane of reality, there's bad people or negative people, right? Of course, and they create suffering. But they're just playing their roles, really. Everything's going to work out how it's supposed to work out, and this planet is awakening and ascending on a massive scale. And it is up to each and every one of us to the way we help in that and contribute to that is by working on ourselves, each and every one of us. Because that is how you help others, by helping yourself, by working on yourself. Self-care, number one. That's the best thing. And don't judge yourself if you're not perfect. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. You know what I mean? It's about being true to yourself, just trying your best. That's all you can do. Everything's going to work out perfect anyway. But everybody says, oh, what about, well, going back to suffering, but what about all the suffering on the world? Yes, it's terrible, obviously, and we should obviously, what we're trying to do is help people. But when we get in line with the divine, and this is a very impassionate talk, we get in line with the divine and keep working ourselves, we will become a conduit, a true conduit for the divine, and we will do the work that God tells us to do physically on this plane to help ease the suffering of others. Right? It's a wild ride. Remember, this ride of purification and detoxification and trying to live as God's love as much as we can, because we have all these hang-ups, but that's part of the process. Don't beat yourself up. Don't judge yourself for anything, nothing. Just try to be present in whatever you're doing, and your consciousness will rise how it's supposed to rise, and you will start to drop. Things will drop that are not supposed to be there. People will drop that are not supposed to be there. You got to practice non-attachment. It doesn't matter who it is. It's hard. You got to do it. That's the way to the top of the journey, the top of the stairs. I love you guys.